Across the country, lots of us are working out what to cook tonight from the ingredients in our cupboards. To inspire you, we're throwing away the cookbooks and going back to basics. We're pitting 3 resourceful and creative home cooks against one another to see what they can come up with. Whoever does it best will be our cook of the day. Ready to prove they can take on the challenge are today's 3 cooks. Project coordinator Laura, who loves cooking meals from scratch for herself and her 5-year-old daughter.
Sometimes I have to make something out of nothing. I do wing it. I do fly by the seat of my pants quite often, and I enjoy it.
Helen, a sales assistant who likes her food fiery.
I can overspice, so I have to really pull back. My partner sometimes it's too hot. He said, "Did you go with the chilli?"
And retired financial advisor James, who enjoys the finer things in life.
Normal breakfast, I would have wholemeal muffins with soft scrambled eggs and smoked salmon. Top that with a bit of caviar. Why not? It goes so well.
Their first test will be to cook from a box of ingredients put together by today's guest, Newsnight's Kirsty Walk. Kirsty, that looks heavy.
It's surprisingly heavy.
Yeah? So where does this love of food for you come from then?
From growing up, from having wonderful home cooking and baking at home, and then from experimenting as I got older and got more confident.
Shall we have a look?
Okay.
All right. So this looks a lovely piece of fish. This looks like wild trout to me.
Yes, and I love trout. Love trout better than love salmon.
So what did you have in mind when you put this box together?
I had in mind the kind of ingredients that I like to work with, but also family. So family through tomato growing, through fishing, and a bit of Scotland there in the oatmeal.
It's a great selection of ingredients, but what will our 3 budding cooks think? Shall we get started?
Let's get started.
We'll see you in a bit. Kirsty will be watching the cooking closely from the guest room. Okay guys, welcome to the box. You all excited? Well, we've got a fantastic box of ingredients in front of you that's been picked by our special guest. Now you've got 50 minutes to create a wonderful dish. Good luck and open your box.
I have put wild sea trout. As a child, if my father was lucky enough to catch trout, we ate it completely fresh. We would just gut it, put it into a frying pan, covered in some oatmeal. A Scottish person probably has to put oatmeal in the box. Spinach, tomatoes. I grew up with my great uncles and my grandfathers who had tomato houses in the Clyde Valley. And so as a young child, I'd be taken into the tomato houses where the smell was extraordinary. And you just simply pluck a tomato from the vine, put salt on it, and then you just eat it straight away. Fantastic. I put wild rice in, dill, and some pink peppercorns. They're much more kind of aromatic than black pepper. So I think that aroma can be added really, in a really subtle way to a dish.
Our cooks don't have to use all of Kirsty's ingredients. They've got access to a store cupboard full of the sorts of things many of us will have at home. Well, our guest box contains a fantastic selection of ingredients. For me, I think just this cries out for a classic, simple little sauce to go with a lovely pan-fried bed of trout. Now, wild sea trout's got a particular season, but of course, farm trout is available all year round, and it's really one of the cheapest fish out there.
I think Helen's already put her trout into silver foil. She's put mustard on top of it, and then she's going to, I think, put her dill on top. Now, that's going to be a different way of cooking it, because essentially she's baking it.
So, Helen,
Yes.
what are we going to be doing? Have you got
I'm
your
going
salad
to
yet?
do wild rice. I'm doing my salmon.
Trout.
Salmon, trout.
Trout.
Is it trout?
Trout.
It's salmony to me, anyway.
Right.
Mustard, dill, white wine.
Okay, so you're going to bake it like en papillote in a parcel?
Yeah,
okay.
yeah. And then I'm doing wild rice.
Have you ever cooked wild rice before?
I'm going to choose it like brown rice.
Okay.
And cook it for about 25 minutes.
Okay.
So that's why I'm doing it in the pressure cooker.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
Otherwise, it'll be a bit too al dente.
It's a good idea. But I'm expecting great things from you because
My
apparently
dad's a chef.
Well, yeah, exactly.
He was a chef at the Dorchester Hotel.
So doing stuff like this shouldn't faze you then?
Not really, no.
Not really? Okay.
My dad, we used to cook meals, And then my dad used to give us marks out of 10. He never gave 10 out of 10 because no one could get 10 out of 10.
Yeah, well, I didn't get 10 out of 10 at
Not
school either for
possible.
cookery.
Not possible.
Do you know what I got after 5 years of cooking at school? Unclassified.
Unclassified.
Yeah.
That's a
Failed
fail.
cookery at school.
That's fail.
It's going to be in the oven for a very long time. And actually, you've got ingredients that take no time to cook at all. Spinach, trout.
James is also using the trout, but he's going for a different cooking technique.
I'm going to grill the fillet for about 12 minutes. I think that's about how long it's going to take at the end.
Oh, slow grilling, not sure.
I wouldn't do it.
You'd pan fry it.
Yes.
If you say pan fry, I'm going to
Pan fry it. If it goes wrong, don't blame me, but pan fry it with butter, salt and pepper, and don't turn it over. Cook it all the way through on the skin side. That way you get the skin nice and crisp. Because it's such a thin piece of fish anyway.
Okay, so
This
that's
will only take about
4
4
to
to 5 minutes.
5 minutes, yeah.
Maximum. All
If
right.
that, yeah.
So what have we got on the sauce then?
It's going to be a dill hollandaise.
Dill hollandaise, not a bad idea.
You're making hollandaise.
Yeah.
All right.
Is that a problem?
It's not a problem for me.
Good, good. Well, it might be if you eat it, but we'll
Okay.
see again.
Hollandaise is really simple to make at home. It's all about the clarified butter. Take a block of butter, put it in a pan, and bring it to the boil. As it boils, all the solids disappear, and you end up with this sort of clear liquid. The solid sinks to the bottom. But one thing you must do, it's really, really important, is you must get that butter cold when you add it onto the egg yolks. If you don't, it will split and you've got to start again. Laura's also gone for Kirsty's favourite fish.
Just doing what I would do at home.
Right.
And I know that different people have mentioned that they're doing rice, but I usually omit carbs when I'm at home
Right.
to try and keep the weight off. So we've but we've got in the
I've
oven.
been going on for years. So you're going to top the trout with this. What is this in
Is
here?
it trout?
Yeah.
Now we know. I'm terrible, aren't I?
Between you two, you know. We've
It's
got mayonnaise
pink
hollandaise
fish.
over there. I've got a clue what's happening.
We
over
call
there.
it pink fish in our house. It doesn't really
I
matter.
aged doing it. I've just decided.
Pink fish.
I looked at the store cupboard ingredients and most of it is singing sort of Indian spices to me. So I put in chili flakes, the oatmeal, black peppercorns, salt,
Tastes pretty
a bit
good.
of cumin.
Yeah, tastes nice.
I think that what Laura's done is killed the trout.
So you got the
Shallots.
onions, shallots, tomatoes,
Bit of garlic.
a bit of garlic in there.
Yeah.
Okay.
Black pepper, salt.
Okay. Now you're going to puree this sauce, or you're going to make it chunky?
I should do something with it. It's looking a bit sorry for itself, isn't it?
I'm actually really keen to try all three because they're all so different.
We've got one person who's got their little crust on the top. We've got James doing that hollandaise, and then Helen, very sort of chefy over here. But then Laura sticking to that home cooking sort of style. Which one will I like? I don't know yet. Time's nearly up, and these three creative home cooks will have to impress Kirsty, because even though I'll be tasting, she'll be deciding which dish is best. But with less than 10 minutes to go, Helen's not happy. What's wrong?
Well, rice tastes like grass. It's horrible.
It tastes like grass.
Yeah, I'm not serving that. As my dad used to say, if in doubt, chuck it out. That was his mantra.
Right idea at all. Wild rice is actually quite a tricky thing to cook. It takes at least 30 to 40 minutes, probably more on the 40 minutes of cooking, because you want to make sure it's fully cooked all the way through. There's nothing worse than crunchy rice. How are you going to tell whether that's cooked?
I would normally stick my finger on it.
Stick your finger on it. But there is a way of doing it if you squeeze it like that. And if it starts to crack when you squeeze it, it's cooked. There, look. See that?
Okay.
Leave it out now and it's ready.
The charred shallot is there as a crunch texture to complement the crunch of the skin.
So you can tell you're a foodie, you see. A charred shallot.
Roast.
Some might say that was burnt.
Yeah, that's good. Deliberately so.
Okay, time's up. Stop cooking. Relax and breathe. Well done. You probably be intrigued to know who's put all this wonderful selection of ingredients together, because it's a real foodie mix, this bag, and it cries out for a particular dish. And I said a foodie mix because this person, she is a real foodie. She got to the final of Celebrity MasterChef. She's the star of Newsnight, Kirsty Ward. So Kirsty,
Well,
what do you reckon?
How do you do?
Hi,
Nice to meet you.
Now you've been watching all three dishes
Yes.
come together. What do you think?
I wanted just a very simple central ingredient trout because it is actually one of the tastiest things you can ever eat, I think.
What have you done with this then?
It's trout with a spicy crumb on a bed of wilted spinach, garlic, shallots and tomato with a citrusy, punchy, I'm not going to say jus, but a sauce.
I like the idea of the freshness of this very much.
You grilled this, didn't you, really? You put it under the grill.
I pan-fried it first on the skin to make
Did
the
you?
skin
Okay.
crispy.
The skin's got a little bit soft.
And the skin's gone soft.
Trout was nicely cooked though.
Trout is very nice.
I
You can
did-
see the trout's holding together.
I've got a feeling it's going to be quite lemony.
We like lemony, but don't worry about lemony.
Good.
There's obviously a kick to the crumb. I love this because it's the spinach, it's the shallots, it's garlic. And I think you've got a kick of chili flake, maybe that's in this sauce here, but that's delicious.
If you put the crumb on top of this crispy skin, it would have kept the skin nice and crisp. And done it the other way
Who
up.
knew?
The other way up. I think the sauce works well with everything.
I think it's lovely.
Well done.
Great.
Thank you.
James, meet Kirsty.
Hi, nice to meet you.
You too.
So, this looks good. Crispy skin I see there. What have you done?
So we've got the pan-fried piece of trout on a bed of wilted spinach with some wild rice and burnt shallot with a little dill hollandaise.
You do mean caramelised shallot.
where I come from, burnt.
So the idea is put the sauce with it.
Yep.
Now you put some dill in that hollandaise as well.
Yes,
Okay.
because it's the obvious combination to go with the fish.
It is pretty good. Now,
So-
Kirsty, you can't argue with the skin on
I
that.
cannot argue the skin on that. It's crispy as I love it. Let's see if the fish is cooked underneath well.
It was straight in the middle.
It's pretty good. I think your trout's slightly overcooked. I might be wrong, but your skin is fantastic. And I really like the caramelised sweet shallot. And actually, it's difficult to cook wild rice. I think you've done it really well, and I love your spinach.
I like the idea of the dill with
Yeah.
hollandaise. It kind of works. A great combination of flavours.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know, everything works together on the plate. Well done.
Thank you.
Now, Helen, what have we got here?
Trout and papillotes with white wine and a white wine reduction sauce and wilted spinach.
Cooking on poppy up, quite brave.
Do you think so?
Well, I think so, particularly with trout, because instantly it can overcook. So you put dill, shallot,
Mustard,
mustard.
salt and pepper.
The trout's actually cooked very nicely. It's breaking up quite a bit. It's cooked very nicely, but there's a weird flavour there that's not the dill. I'm not quite sure what it is. Maybe it's mustard.
Maybe it's the mustard.
This is the problem when you're cooking things on papillote, and it's the white wine. Because it's not in the oven long enough to burn off the alcohol, you get this almost half, not cooked out, raw wine combination. You've almost, with white wine, you've got to put a small amount in. To me, there's too much in there. It's tended a little bit bitter.
Now, the spinach.
Bit of garlic a bit as well.
I love garlic and spinach. I
And
like that.
I put nutmeg on that as well.
That's completely wilted and completely delicious.
It's just the butter, the spinach, and garlic.
I think that
and
works. I like
nutmeg.
that. I like that spinach a lot.
I like the nuttiness of the garlic, but a great effort for trying, really.
So
And that-
much wine I used, didn't you?
Well,
They
no.
thought
Yeah,
I'd
we've
been
got
drinking
nothing
it.
left.
Left some for
They
us.
thought I'd been drinking
We've got
it.
no wine left. But I tell you what, that spinach is
Oh,
fabulous.
It's great.
Well done. You've got a big decision to make.
I've got a very big decision to make.
Now, Kirsty, I was looking forward to this food, given the box of ingredients. What do you think of everybody's dishes?
Helen, I absolutely adored your spinach. I thought your spinach was delicious. James, I thought the skin was fantastic. I think the fish was a little overcooked. I love the wild rice. Laura, there's no doubt that your trout was the best cooked of all. But if I had to say overall, because I really, really wanted the central ingredient, the star of the show, to be the trout.
Well, you've got to pick one, and which one would you prefer to eat? Which one would you go back to?
I think I'm going to plump for Laura.
Oh, yes.
Laura, well done.
Thank you.
Okay, Kirsty, this is where it gets a little bit interesting because I've picked the food for these 3 boxes here, and Laura, the power is in your hands. What everybody else will be cooking. We've got a global box, which could be anything from around the world, shellfish, and meat. All these boxes contain my favourite ingredients.
No pressure.
And I get to decide after this round who's the overall cook of the day. So the pressure is really on. Now, Laura, because you are Kirsty's favourite dish, the power is in your hands. So first of all, what would you like James to cook with? Which box?
I don't get to see inside the boxes.
No.
Oh, okay. I'm gonna go with global for James.
Global for James. Okay, James, you've got the global box. Now that just leaves Helen with 2 boxes left. Shellfish or meat?
She can have the meat.
Helen,
I'm happy with
you
that.
happy with that?
Yes, we eat a lot of meat in our house.
That leaves you the shellfish box. All right, so you've got 50 minutes to create a wonderful dish, and I get to decide at the end of this who's the overall cook of the day. Collect your boxes. Let's go. There's 3 different boxes of ingredients here. Very different.
I would have done the same as Laura. I would have definitely not done the global box because you've absolutely no idea. I would have gone for the shellfish. I think Laura was absolutely right.
Inside my shellfish box, there's mussels, aniseed liqueur, shallots, chili, potatoes, risotto rice, parsley, and bacon. So what's the idea? What are we going to do?
This is something that I would probably order if I went to a restaurant sat in sunny Southampton by the sea. I'm going to do some moules with white wine, garlic, a bit of lemon juice, shallots, maybe a bit of stock. I don't think I'll need it. I'll maybe use the stock from the moules.
Well, the thing about all these flavours when I was putting them together, they all kind of work, so bear that in mind. I think you're going in the right lines.
This is a Spanish tapasy kind of thing. I lived in Spain, so I'm bringing the flavours to today.
Mussels and chips from Spain.
Well, you don't know what I'm going to do with my chips yet.
Oh, I thought it was Belgium, but anyway, it's like mussels and chips Spain. That sounds all right to me. People are a little bit sceptical with mussels, really, but it's one of the easiest shellfish to actually cook. Very simple to prepare. On top of the mussels, you end up with a little, what we call a little beard, which is a little bit of fluff. You just pull that little bit of fluff off. Make sure you wash them in cold water first of all, and then very simply just cook them. You can just cook them in a little bit of water, some white wine, a few aromatics like thyme, and particularly rosemary work really well with mussels. And all you need to do is just cook them with the lid on, and they take about 3 to 4 minutes. Once they're nicely open, drain them off, and then munch away. Laura gave James the global box, which today has a Polish theme. Inside it's got smoked sausages, sauerkraut, herring, beetroot, wild mushrooms, sour cream, potatoes, parsley, oregano and watercress.
The plan is going to be pan-fried herring in a little bit of butter. With that, I'm going to do some mash, which will probably be a mustard mash. I've made some pickling liquor, which is just cooling down in the fridge. I'm going to pickle these slices of beetroot, because I think they're such a beauty. Don't they look great?
Now, you're staying clear of these sausages that we've got here.
I'm just going to eat them.
You're just going to eat them?
Yeah.
Okay.
You don't get to have those. They look delicious.
Oh, right. They are fantastic as well, these lovely Polish sausages. But
Yeah.
tons of flavour in there as well.
I thought too much. I thought that would overpower the fish if I had them in there. But I mean, keep it simple is the idea.
What about Polish food? Have you ever tried cooking it before?
No is the straight answer.
So, very first time
Yeah.
today.
Yeah.
Oh, look.
This kind of works in the pickle as well, this oregano.
Does it?
So, if you're doing a nice little pickled syrup with the beetroot.
Right. Well, we'll have some of that in there then. Let's pick some leaves off. Thank you very much.
But the vinegar's really key to your pickling syrup
Yeah.
as well. You've got to get the right combination of salt and sugar. So
Yeah.
it shouldn't be too sweet. It should have that little bit of sharpness in there as well, which is, of course, the pickle.
But not too overpowering.
Yeah, but not too overpowering. But you want it strong enough to get the flavour into the beetroot as
Because I
well.
haven't got long.
Yeah.
So I need to get a lot of flavour in there.
Yeah. Is that our cue to disappear?
No, not at all.
Yeah, I thought it was.
But hey, hang around.
Now, personally, I would cook the herring. I would marinate it and for that, you need to get it marinated straight away. So the pickle needs to be first on, but then that herring wants to sit in that marinade for as long as possible. You want to souse it. That's how I would like to taste it. Finally, Laura chose my meat box for Helen. It contains lamb's liver, bacon, onions, Savoy cabbage, cornmeal, sage, raisins and freshly made short crust pastry. How are you feeling?
Liver's something that I cook a lot at home.
Yeah.
So I'm very confident in that is going to be done like in the last 10 minutes. It's literally show it the pat. Yeah, it's with paprika.
What's this?
And flour. That's my corn. I've done sort of like these. It's an experiment. Oh, corn fritters.
Yeah.
I'm doing the Savoy cabbage with caraway.
Okay.
The pastry, just to do the pastry on its own, it just didn't make any sense.
Well, certainly with this, you've got crispy bacon with liver, which
But the
classic
combination.
classic combination.
And I'm doing with the red onion, with the red wine gravy.
How have you made this then?
Sweated down my red onion in butter,
Yeah.
and then I added the wine. Tasted it, thought it was a bit weak, so I added a bit of water and just leave it to simmer.
So what you want to do with this sauce at the last minute, once you've cooked the liver, take it out. The essences and the liquid from the pan,
Scraping,
yeah, I would pour the sauce on.
yeah.
But also, the great thing about liver, it needs a little bit of sharpness. So when you're finishing a sauce, you want something like a vinegar.
Balsamic?
Balsamic vinegar is a good one. Traditionally, you would use a bit of sherry vinegar. You certainly wouldn't want white wine vinegar because it's too strong. But a little bit of balsamic vinegar just in there at the end will just lift it. And then just a touch of butter you want as well, just at the end. It's traditionally called Monty au beurre, to finish your sauce with butter.
The liver in the meat box, to me, is tricky because I used to get lamb's liver all the time as a child, which was chuck. But I cook all the time calf's liver, which I adore. But that is lamb's liver. I'm not sure to get the best out of lamb's liver.
I've picked lamb's liver here, but you treat it like calf's liver. A very hot pan, light dusting with flour, just salt and pepper, get a little nub of butter in there, get it foaming first of all. You want to get that nice colour on the butter. In goes the lamb and just leave it. You want it to crisp on the outside, and then when it's nice and coloured one side, turn it over. You want to turn it over once, and then as you turn it over again, a few knobs of butter more, and then just nappe it. It's fancy word. It's just a coat with more and more butter. Take it out and serve it. It's a cheap, easy cut of meat that's full of goodness, and particularly full of flavour. Okay, 5 minutes left. There's potential with all these boxes, that's the thing.
There's potential, and there's potential for a nightmare.
I think there's massive potential for a nightmare. You've really got to understand about cooking with all these ingredients, because the mussels, you can overcook them straight away, and they go rubbery, horrible. The lamb's liver, instantly it can be really good or really, really bad. And then you've got herring. Herring is quite an unusual fish to cook.
Which are there.
Okay, time's up. Stop cooking. Well done. Laura has created a dish from my shellfish box. Laura, well, it was your decision to choose this box. What have you done with it?
I've made moules with white wine, shallots, garlic, bit of lemon juice, nice seasoned chips, and a bit of crispy bacon on top. So it's comfort food.
So anyway, I'm going to pick one of these mussels out of here.
Broth first.
It may be a little bit tart, but there's quite a bit of wine in there. I like my wine.
It is sharp. It comes from the lemon more than anything else. If you want to cut down that sharpness, you want a touch of cream or a little bit of butter. But the mussels are absolutely perfectly cooked. I like the use of the bacon with it as well. And it's properly seasoned, which is really nice.
It looks like some kind of outdoor wonderful day somewhere in, I don't know, France.
London, where we are now. The potatoes, what have you done with these?
You're northern, so you should like your chips. They've got paprika, black pepper, and a bit of salt. They're not as crispy as I want them, but they're...
No, but you see, chips to me should be chips and not Ponzi things with paprika on it.
I think it's delicious. I would be very happy to have cooked this. I think your broth, that is lovely. And I absolutely love the chips.
Love the sauce with the mussels. Brilliant job, well done.
Thank you. Delicious.
James got my global box and had to come up with a Polish-inspired dish. James.
Hello again, James.
I'm so excited about this box of ingredients and what you've done
You
with it.
sound more excited than I was when I opened it.
Because this, to me, really is a chef's box of ingredients. What have you done with it?
I've finished it, the herring, pan-fried that. I've done mustard mash, watercress sauce. I had to use some of the mushrooms, so they're just in butter, and pickled some beetroot for colour and effect and a crunch contrast.
Okay, you'd made a good job of filleting it. The thing is with herring, it needs some sharpness. Because it's an oily fish, you need some sauce. That's where it goes particularly well with it. You managed to get that. The pickle in liquid is perfect.
Oh, thank you.
It's the right combination of sharpness and sweetness. But you've got the right idea with the mustard and the pickle and the herring, don't you think?
I do think the herring, the mustard mash, and the beetroot is delicious. And now I'm going to think about cooking much more with these ingredients.
They're all available as well. People don't know what to do with them, that's the thing. But they certainly excites the taste buds, and that dish does exactly the same thing. Well done. And finally, it's Helen. Helen, well, that's a serious plate of food, isn't it, really?
It's not very pretty.
What is it?
Pan-fried liver with Savoy and caraway cabbage and red onion jam with fritters.
The key to liver, really,
It's quick.
is quick and flash cooking. And I can see straight away you've got the first bit right. The liver's nice and brown. The key to this is whether it's pink in the middle.
That's really good.
Because if you overcook liver, it goes very
I
bitter.
did put paprika in the flour, in the seasoned flour.
I can tell you straight away, it's cooked perfectly.
Oh, thank you.
The red onion jam is delicious. The flavours in this just sing out.
Liver needs a lift in
You
terms
need
of
something
flavour.
strong.
And instantly you get this. I think you were the right idea to go with the onion compote. To me, the corn fritters are very quite dry in the mouth. The caraway and the cabbage, a classic combination.
Do you want to make dinner for me next week?
If you, yeah, I'll do mashed potatoes instead of fritters, though, if you know.
But another great plate of food. I'm going to have to think about it today. Well done. Well, guys, congratulations. Kirsty, you happy with everything?
I thought you cooked up a storm. I don't know what I'd have done with the global box, but I think you all did brilliantly.
Based on these three dishes, I now have to decide who will be our cook of the day. Which one of you will it be? Today's cook of the day is Laura. Well done. Well done.
Oh, thanks.
Simple, but a great dish.
Oh.
Were you expecting that or not?
No, not at all. I just did the best I could.
All that practice cooking for your daughter has definitely paid off. Well, there we go. Well done to Laura. Thanks very much, Kirsty. And thank you for watching. Join us next time when three more enthusiastic home cooks, maybe not liver next time, will be battling out on the box. See you then. Bye for now.